Abundance is not a bank account, it's a vibration. Listen to that now. When I was maybe 14, I was living in the hood. My grandparents and great grandparents doing a phenomenal job at raising me as a teenager with a lot of limited resources that they had and challenges that they faced. And being in the hood, if you know, you know, you're from there. If you don't, listen up. I'm finna take you down Ghettoville story time. Most people only see a few options or ways to get out of the hood. It's not a multiple, like reading rainbow shit, like, I can do anything. In the hood, I'm just keeping it real. Your way out, you either rapping, singing, shaking your ass, or shooting or running, throwing a ball. That's just what was said then. And I know some people were like, oh my gosh, that's so harsh. I can't believe it. That's just what the reality was. Young guys coming up. That's what we was under the impression was our way out. But it was one thing that my grandparents faithfully instilled in me and all of their grandkids, and that was the love of reading. They kept us with a book before they brought a game or a movie. I had a mini library before I had a Sega Genesis. That was just what was on the menu for my folks. They pushed reading, and in reading and in all this, struggle that I saw, I wanted to get rich. That was my idea. I said, you know what? I don't want myself or my grandparents to do without. So I sought on the journey for wealth. And to be honest with you, being in the hood, it wouldn't be any sources. Because my option didn't involve running a ball, grabbing a mic, shaking my behind, dancing, rapping. It didn't involve what we saw as our options or our ways out. Or you can be trapping, That was the MVP accolade. But as we see now and know now, and as we speak, being a former correction officer, that doesn't work out all the time too well. Or does, most people don't get out too clean. So I didn't really have any sources. So what I did in my town, and I was I'm from a small little country town. I reached on people who I looked at or what I kind of knew to be of success. And those were, that's just what I knew at the time, politicians. So I went to the mayor and council members in my area because I wanted to be wealthy. And hey, these people must have been doing something right or doing something right because of who they are and what they do. Doesn't necessarily mean a thing now, but what I was thinking. And I was turned down from a lot of folks except for one man. And it was most oddest than like when you're expecting, your heroes and people that to, be there for you and support you, and it be the wild card. So I got the wild card, and I was so enamored because I spent months in a search. Can you imagine a black boy from the projects out here trying to ask people how to get rich? One thing was people kind of already discredited me for my age, and then other people was like, what a peculiar question to ask. And for me, sometimes it's power in your ignorance, because at the time I wasn't under the impression that was a question that I couldn't ask. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. How do I do this? And it's like I'm speaking in another language or talking something taboo. Like, what is he talking about? How does he get rich? That's, what are you saying? It's like I would have had more success saying, hey, how can I get on the football team versus how can I build $1 billion software company? It kind of felt like that with a lot of people. I could, I'm an empath. I could still at that young age sense people's energy and what they were feeling and what their thoughts were with me on that. So I was like, okay, and I landed on this wild card. It was like, I think had walked. This is the crazy thing. I was putting on a suit, walking in the hot Georgia sun, showing up at the mayor's office, this random law office, trying to figure out a piece, glean out you know, what success was or how did I get it? What did I do? I'm wondering, how did I get it? These people, you just seen the look on some people's face was just like, just kind of like at a loss, because it's like I probably was the only person or the first person to, you know, even ask them that question. Like, who is this guy asking us this? Like, how do I get rich? So, but I got to the wild card, and the wild card, as I'll call him, was an interesting character. Let me tell you about him. So I'm walking from trying to, make contact with all the people that I wanted to mentor me and show me the path to getting rich and wealthy. And I get down here and I'm walking back down towards the projects, down the hood in my suit. I'm burning up in the sun. I didn't put on probably a too tight suit that I would, go to Goodwill and try to find a suit. I couldn't afford a suit, so I would, Goodwill was the guaranteed option. And I'm down here in this suit and, trying to make it happen. And it was a last stop. And I said, hey, let me walk in this office. It literally was like that. I walked in there and, can I help you? I said, I'm trying to learn how to be rich. And I went everywhere. I went to all the politicians, the do-gooders, the people that, the brother like me from the hood deemed as or looked at as what my community would look at as successful, or the people that's doing something different than people in my environment, and couldn't get no help. And the wild card dropped some game on me. He said, first of all, if you ain't putting no money in any of these people's pocket, you're not securing votes, you're not dropping a big check into this person's campaign, they don't really have time for you. And and I was like, wow, that was the case. And he told me too, he said, first lesson I can give you is there are 3 powers. There's land, capital, and people. And you don't have either of those. And in that point, I was like kind of broken. I was like, damn, I'm trying to get help, not knocked down. Later knowing that sometimes it's the knockdown that knocks you up. It knocks you into shape. And I said, well, that's kind of like a catch-22. That's what I'm trying to figure out. He said, well, you need to make it your purpose to get rich. I said, okay, well, where do I start? And lo and behold, that's when I was introduced to Think and Grow Rich. The brother introduced me to Think and Grow Rich. And I found the wild card interesting because the wild card had attained a really, I would say, a very decent level of financial success, but had been sort of ostracized by the community because of different, I'm not going to go into his values, but he was known as the crazy one. I will say that. I call him the wild card. He wasn't crazy. He just stood up for different things that, some people just ain't, no matter how much money they get, you got those that ain't going to bend. And the wild card was one that would not bend. So he was so adamant on me getting to success that we got up from that little dusty office at the end part of town and drove me way out to the bookstore to get me a copy. He purchased my copy of Think and Grow Rich and gave me the game plan And I found it interesting too. What was great about the wild card, because I said I wasn't going to go in too much detail of who he was. I like to just, some people just want to chill. He's not a flashy person. But one of the hardcore lessons, of him just stepping up and being able to say, hey, this is someone like me, and was open arms with it, meant the world to me. I felt like within the first 10 minutes of sitting down talking with him, I was like, wow, there's somebody like me. And why did I feel that way? Because I came out of public housing. And for the wild card to be a brother, an African American, I didn't come across in the hood many African Americans that was older men or men walking around in suits. There wasn't many men that were still happily locked in with their wife after 40, 50 years. There weren't many men like him that had access. I had never met anyone that had access to owning one property, let alone to millions of dollars in real estate property. And still had it. And wasn't running and rushing to hit somebody's job. I had never seen, he was like I'll say a superhero, or like an alien to a brother like me coming out the hood, because I didn't know that existed. I thought, like, because all the signs of success, it was always someone else successful and someone else that had, the real estate and the this. And I was like, I don't hear or see anything like this. So maybe this is something that I'm not qualified for. And seeing him have the things that I was aiming and aspiring for him to have those things, it was freaking crazy. I was in utter astonishment the first time of like actually seeing that this dude was not BSing. He actually who he said was, so it inspired me. He took me out there and got Think and Grow Rich and left me with this. He said, man, if you read this book 10 times, you can't help but get rich. So I set out to read it. And over time, because I tell people I probably bought every lotion, potion thing out there. Over time, getting all these things and that monumental moment that set me off to go and be, my very best and be able to hopefully at some point be able to provide for my grandparents who were, as I said before, doing the friggin' best and great job they could with those limited resources. I learned what the wild card initially was trying to tell me and show me. I learned that this is a mindset. This is a vibrating mindset. I chased after those things initially, and my search for wealth was based around items. What this trinket, this car symbolizes success. This thing symbolizes wealth. So many people get caught up on the things like I did for many years from the start, and for many years on my attainment towards wealth. Now here, years later, in the mind that wealth is a vibration, I had a great opportunity several years ago to work for and around the ultra wealthy and celebrities. And it is true. It is a mindset. We can point our fingers at the things, but things change. People that are rich or wealthy, they feel that way. They know that way. They vibrate that way. They feel as though they're supposed to have those things. And where was I at during this path before even having that realization? Wishing and hoping. We hoping that we get second best, something that's left over. Oh, maybe they'll let me come in there and get a little chance. When you are the chance and when abundance is our natural birthright, it is expansive. All of this shit came from a human. A person had to make this stuff. All the luxury items and things you're chasing, they were created from nothing. You get that, right? Someone created those things. Person out here just like you with the same capabilities. And it's a big vibration thing. Do you feel, all right, I've been on the journey for wealth for many years, but I've been vibrating poverty the same as if not more. I was literally reading books about getting wealthy, reading affirmations, making affirmation tapes, saying all the cool stuff, going to all the conferences and seminars for wealth, but vibrating poverty. It's in how you think, how you talk, how you walk. What do you feel that you deserve? And I can be honest, like for years, I felt I didn't deserve none of that. I was reading it on the outside, but deep down in our heart, it's like and if you want to, you can check down in the comments the 15 minutes manifestation audio tape. It's one of the things that it says when it reprograms your subconscious mind is that we outwardly say we want wealth and some of the nice things, but deep down inside, we feel like we don't deserve it, and I was under the, I don't deserve a piece of the pie. Maybe I can get a little bit that's left over. Maybe I'll luck up. Or a lot of the people had a mindset is, oh, this never really happens for me. It doesn't really work out for me. I'm not lucky. I never win stuff. I never get hired for these types of jobs. All of that stuff that plays over and over ends up being the one thing that dictates our reality. And then being able to put myself at a halting point and just stop and be like, okay, no more books, no more programs, no more lotions, no more potions. Where's the core of the problem? The core is in the mindset of me sitting here and saying I'm healthy, but vibrating something else. Me sitting here and saying I'm a winner, but vibrating something else. It's not what you outwardly say and post on Facebook and intend and read about, but it's what you got going on up in here. What are you brooding about yourself? What do you think about yourself? I found at times I was thinking absolutely the worst for myself. A good suggestion, and I like to be actionable, not just a person that's here barking at you, but if you feeling like you got low self-esteem and a good stepping point to start stepping into wealth is love of self. I know that they're saying it's the G-Wagon, it's the new Chrome Hearts, the new this and the new that, and all that shit is cool. But the real wealth is going to start, and the universal wealth is going to start in loving yourself. Have you ever noticed like rich people, they're like, oh, they're so stuck up? No, it's because a lot of times, yeah, some are stuck up, but a lot of people, that ain't nothing but you envying the self-love and self-care that they have for themselves that you have yet to develop in yourself. Because a rich person believes that they deserve the absolute best, and by God, they're going to get it, or they want to speak to a manager. Does it sound crazy? Yes. But some of y'all will go out here, and I was one of them, we'll go out here and take any kind of service. We'll let folks treat us any kind of way in our environment and won't step up to the plate and won't have a word to say or anything about it. That's the same thing with money. Everybody chasing money. It's not you showing me them designer tags. It's not those big stacks of cash coming out of your pocket. See, for some people that does it, and one of my quotes that I say is that people will suspend common sense for shiny shit. And I watch people here in this city of LA spend so much time, energy, and all kind of what I call them theatrics, because it's like a damn theater watching some of this shit. Go through all of this stuff, trying to appear to have wealth, to appear to be on the path to get it, and doing every damn thing to get it, and never really getting it. And they don't get it because they're not chasing real wealth. They're just chasing a freaking illusion. None of it's real. That car ain't gonna make you no happier. That car ain't gonna make those people like you. You rocking these type of clothes ain't gonna get you around the type of people you want, that you sitting up dreaming over. That's not the thing that's gonna get it. And some people go and get the shit and find out, and that's how we got the people right now as we speak, sitting up in mansions, sad, upset, depressed as hell. And I've been taking actionable steps, like coming to the beach is one of my things. If I was a billionaire, I'd be out here on the beach, on the water, hands in my pocket, walking. I already said before, I'm finna get out of here with an art easel and do some real billionaire shit. And who's to say that that's the vibration that I'm on? That's what, you go through the step and you find out like what wealth looks like for you. What is that picture that we're talking about? What does that look like for you? And do it. And half the time you find out that a lot of shit that you were holding off about doing, about being wealthy, you could have been doing it. And hell, what a way to start right now is to close your eyes right now. Close your eyes and sit and envision yourself wealthy. What would you do? See, we speculate on our failure too easily. That's cool. It ain't nothing to speculate your failure. Well, sit up and start trying to speculate success, and you'll start to feel that discomfort, and you'll know that you're going to need to do that shit a little bit more. So I would like to give you some actionable things. First, I would suggest is Louise L. Hayes' How to Heal Your Life book. That's going to get you the confidence to start feeling like you deserve nice things. You deserve to be treated well. You deserve the best, because if you don't feel you deserve it, you can't get it. The second thing is actually in the description is you can click for the 15-minute manifestation audio. It's 3 audio tracks. You listen to 1 track a week. Each day you listen to it to reprogram your mind for success and for wealth, and feel that you're deserving of some nice things. Because over the pathway, I had to learn that I was feeling like I don't deserve anything nice. I'm not worthy of it, when it's our birthright. All of us are worthy of wealth. All of us are worthy of the chance and choice to be able to better ourselves and do more for ourselves. We all are entitled to that. So I would highly suggest the 15-minute manifestation, if you do nothing else, to get all the dirt, because you got a lot of dirt. We have a lot of gunk about our mindset, that we're trying to get to wealth, but we can't develop the wealth mindset. We can't do anything regarding wealth because it's our mind. When we're thinking it's a new program, that program didn't work. A lot of this shit is not going to work until you work your mind. And one of the things that I want to kind of break away with is that even if it's wealth, it's peace, whatever it is, it all begins in your mind. We're walking around here looking for the solution externally. It's our mind. I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite Parliament quotes from a song. And it states is that if you free your mind, your ass will follow. Free your mind on wealth, and your ass will follow. Attune. And what I say, attune and assume the position. Assume the position of wealth. I've been assuming the position of poverty and lack and just enough and just making it above water, to now I'm assuming abundance and the new life that I want, and I'm assuming abundance for the peace and the health and the happiness that I want. And I encourage you just to even say that to yourself, is that you assume abundance and you assume success. I thank you all so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you all on the next time that we hang out and I've got something to share. But until then, I'm finna get out here and check out the ocean, take out some long, deep breaths, and get ready to go into the second part of my day.